Are y'all ready? I think it's time right now we get into the sports business world and we get into what really happened with Steph Curry and his contract and why Under Armour is ready to get rid of that deal in that contract. Now, before we slide on into everything else, let's get everything in perspective here to get things in position. Thanking you. And can you guys see this board? Or do I need to bring more light to it? I think I might have to bring more light because this is going to tell a lot. So let me bring the light here. Let the sun shine in. Turn it that way. And yes, that works. Now that we let the sun shine in, drop the intro. Hi, I'm Carcino. Oh, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
No one knows Carcino and none of these.
There's so much going on in the world, and I'm just giving my 2 cents on it. Go in and do a raid at someone's house, but you don't have an arrest warrant for them. Hey, yes, I was supposed to get a haircut. I've been too busy working for the people. Now, here, now that we got light on this, let's bring forth the reasons that we're here. Stephen Curry is splitting with Under Armour after signing a lifetime contract that was going to be worth billions, and people are surprised. Why did they come to this abrupt separation? Where Steph Curry, unlike Gilbert Arenas, owns 100% of his company. And his holding company with all his, different corporations that's earning money is continuously earning money. And because of that success, it's able to turn into a profitable venture. Now, it's like saying these collective groups, right? These individuals, all celebrities and famous in their own right? But each one of these blocks are part of a group, right? Where all these royalties and inheritance and everything seem to come from. What's up, Joe Cool? Everybody would see different, growth patterns. And even though they're in a group, they're partnered with another company or another brand who obviously wanted somebody to rejuvenize their company. So they come into a partnership. So now Steph's company is now partnered with Under Armour. So together, this is the growth of the Under Armour shoe deal that they have with the partnership, licensing, and everything that's together, right? So Steph Curry had a deal where he got a percentage off anything sold off Under Armour because they was that interested in growing that they made him a very wealthy deal where he eventually, actually makes more than LeBron James. But we're not going to get into that because that was actually under the radar. I knew, but a lot of people didn't know. But let's digress. It's not about Steph and LeBron. Why are they severing this partnership? And the reason why is because the climate is changing more than anything. With Steph Curry talking retirement, the same thing happened to Kobe Bryant, how great Kobe was. Most athletes, when they retire, their shoe sales die or they start talking retirement. They choose the company, rather, that you partner with don't really have the same interest in you as these new athletes are coming in. And this is where Kobe and Nike were bumping heads in this situation, feeling that he was being ignored in all of his requests because they wanted to go down different avenues and express them in different tones, different patterns, the whole nine, right? So, how do we get here? What is this chart? This is when Steph Curry had his deal in 2013. These are the losses for Under Armour off of the Steph Curry shoe. This is the fan supports, the people, the public interest, and this is the actual revenue. And as you can see, from 2013 to 2016, it was at its highest point. The losses were down here. The fan support is almost as great as the revenue. Then it comes here to 2019. Kevin Durant is gone. The fans' support is still high, but the shoe sale revenue is starting to change. By 2020, the pandemic, notice Steph Curry's shoes are going down. Then there's a little uptick here. And the little uptick was the 2022 NBA Finals. So the NBA Finals in 2022, when they won the championship, gave it an uptick. But the losses since the pandemic has been up. And they've been losing more than they've been making in revenue. So this is why Under Armour is saying from 2021 all the way through, our losses are up greatly than the fan support and the actual revenue. Now, that explains why they want to change the trajectory, because they stand to lose in this lifetime deal. So that's why I keep telling people, just because they say lifetime does not mean lifetime. There's always a way out of a contract. And this is what we talk about with benchmarks. If you're a lifetime contract, it says if you're not doing a percentage of this, if this number drops below this number, then they have the other side has a option or a clause where it will be exercised where they can revisit said original deal, which means that they can all come to the table and say, I don't think this partnership is working anymore because we've hit this and I don't think it's going to get back to this. So we can get out of this lifetime deal. But we won't embarrass Steph Curry or the brand. We're going to say all nice, positive things, and we're going to part as friends, even though this is not a friendly departure. This is a very terrible departure. Now, here's what's been happening over the past few years. They were all excited just about a year ago, but a lot of problems start to ensue. That's right. Because it's the nature of the business. The nature of the business happened. Now, what do I mean by the nature of the business? There's always a brighter, younger, flashier star coming up in the ranks. Henceforth, Ja Morant. Ja Morant came along and his shoes started taking off almost immediately. Now he's on the Ja 3. Even though he wasn't playing, people still go out and buy Ja Morant shoes more than they're buying Steph Curry shoes. It's always a new person coming along. Now, Steph is known as the Steph Curry, but now it's become that old hit record that we love, but we've heard it enough. Now people take it for granted. The Golden State Warriors era, that's like 10 years ago now. It's become an old relic to these people. And the NBA didn't do him any favors by trying to pretty much put him out the pastures and put the team out the pastures way before their prime. All because they wanted to protect the interests of LeBron James. Now, Now that you've seen the chart, so now you know why it makes sense. What was the purpose of it? They would have capitalized on the athletic triumphs of Steph and his brand off the court. And what Steph Curry wanted to do was implement more of a street appeal, like playground basketball. He wanted more of that. What Under Armour was looking for was more entertaining to kids, like little bitty kids in suburbia wearing bright colors. They wanted it to resemble that. Where Steph is like, well, the game is evolved. These kids are now wearing this street appeal, which is the same thing as the kids in suburbia. So Steph had designs, he had concepts with his team and everything else to say, hey, this is what I think we should do. Under Armour saying, we're already in the red. The magic just ain't there anymore. And you want us to spend more money on these concepts. And I mean, the Steph Curry, the SC on there look like Sports Center. I was always saying that. I'm like, man, are these Steph Curry shoes or Sports Center's coming on? That's the Steph Curry logo. Looks like Sports Center. So that was me initially looking at the shoe. Now, people who wear the shoe say it's very good, but they don't last too long. Like you'll need a new pair of shoes. Like you can't buy a pair of Steph Curry shoes and they're going to last you. It's like, dude, you playing those for about 6-7 months. You done broke them in. And he's like, the support, it feel like socks. You wear them to dress up to go places, but you don't want to wear them for anything other than. So, but they're not really reiterating with Steph that they want to revisit this contract. So Lonzo Ball, not Lonzo, but LaMelo Ball started doing well. And then you got Ja Morant, like I told you, he's doing well. And these guys are the new people and the sneakerheads out there haven't kept up pace because shoe sales all around has dropped. People are not buying gym shoes like they used to anymore. A lot of people ain't wearing gym shoes unless they, Jordan is just a staple. They'll get some old classic Jordans or whatever and fix them up or whatever. And they made that a fashion to wear to weddings and everything else. But other than that, they're getting beat by Adidas and Nike. So if you're looking at the overall revenue from Under Armour, it's like 1.5, 1.7 and like $1 billion, which isn't bad, but it's far behind Adidas and Nike. And they don't even break out the Curry specific numbers, but you're looking at almost about 173, 178 million a year in annual sales. Sometimes it get up to, at the peak, it was like 300 and 250 million to 325 in annual sales. So Under Armour was going to develop non-basketball shoes under the Curry name. So De'Aaron Fox was the first athlete that he brought from the Kings as his first ever sponsored athlete. And he wanted to recruit more athletes and build a team and a label around it. But for some reason, those sales just didn't take off. De'Aaron Fox is not on the Kings anymore. He's with the Spurs. There was no real plan to develop and go in the direction Steph Curry want to go through, because Steph is like, look, I know I'm not going to be playing anymore. I'm going to have to get more athletes that's coming in the league that's going to be here to sign up and get them a shoe deal, because I'm going to be out. I'm probably got 3 more years, maybe 4, and I'm out. I don't see myself playing past 40. So that's that. I'm out. And then this is going to be it. They're going to be the new Curry brand. They were on board with it, but their bottom line is not adding up. So management is trying to take advantage of the global reach from UK, France, Spain, and especially China. China is a big bulk of gym shoe revenue. So that's why they take these trips to China. The shoes are made there, they're bootleg there, but they generate a lot of money for the actual athlete. Yeah, huge for the NBA. So Steph's success goes along with selling the shoes. So they work side by side and hand by hand with the NBA. And once they get into the NBA and everybody's all bought in to the said product, now you have a situation where people have to engage with the same calamities that you've been seeing beforehand. Like you've been seeing a lot of different people engage in different ways that was not usually conducive to the brand. With all the rival shoes that's in the game, and people are not buying them, as these young Gen Zs are buying other shoes that are not gym shoes altogether. Now you're having a harder time trying to make sales using basketball players to sell your products. But Steph Curry was getting paid a percentage of everything Under Armour sold. So he was making a ton of money without the reason that they brought him there, which was for the shoes. And the shoes are not really selling, but he's getting a ton of money. So they're like, wait a minute, we got to revisit this plan. So let's go to the actual contract where it says, if the shoes are not doing X, Y, and Z, we can get out of this deal, basically, of a lifetime contract. So they're going to say that we're going to just end the partnership without having to air how poorly the Currys have been selling. So therefore, we don't hurt Steph Curry's brand or his feelings by putting out this information, but we're going to exercise the clause to get us out of the deal. So they said we both decided to mutually end the partnership, but that is why. They were finna have a monstrous low quarter. Like I was hearing the Currys are finna go under 150 million in revenue sales. That's bad. It's almost 50% less than what it was when he was the man. So the lack of interest that's in Stephen Curry can be contributed to a lot of different things. Well, I often say that because I feel I have to. What I say is contributed to a lot of different factors. And one of the main factors being that Steph Curry has not had the support from the NBA like most of the people would believe. The media in the NBA only wants to use him when it's time to market people like LeBron James and try to keep LeBron in the stratosphere, but never wanted to market a team who was actually playing well and performing well. So Steph Curry could leave with his brand. Unlike Gilbert Arenas, they don't own him. He has a partnership. That's his holding company. So he can take his brand and his shoe somewhere else. Now, he can do it himself independently and make it the Curry brand himself. But I think he's going to try to sign with another partner, whether it's Nike or Adidas. So you might see Steph wearing other shoes that's not made by Under Armour. That's because most people that's in the game now, they don't understand what it takes to get to these other levels of success. There are so many people who are dormant. Yeah, they're very dormant to the idea of whatever Steph was bringing to the table. Stephen Curry, Under Armour, Like, will he be wearing the shoes in the next game? I don't think so. No, the numbers reflect they're taking losses more than they are making gains. And when a company is doing that, that's going to be the beginning of the end of the said company. Let me show you the stock of Under Armour. So the writing was on the wall. You see that? That's Under Armour stock. Let me show you where it's at now. See? See where that is? This is where the Under Armour stock is doomed. Now stuff is going to go up because people are going to start buying Steph Curry shoes like crazy because they're going to end the deal. If you're a shoe collector, you're going to want to get them now. Oh, I got to get these. Like the Kyrie 4s from Nike, right? Everybody wanted to buy the new Kyrie 4s because they knew that was going to be the last shoe for the Kyries. People didn't even want to, like, oh boy, he got like 4 pair of those Kyrie shoes. Like, dude, I got Kyrie shoes, the Kyrie 4. You want those shoes because that's going to bring, that's going to bring a lot of appeal from the people. Yes, he can wear another shoe. And yes, he definitely can. So he might try out different shoes until he finds a brand. So yes, the partnership is over. So he could wear Nike, he could wear all of these different shoes that they got. But see, Steph Curry got a percentage. His contract wasn't just for the shoes. He got a percentage of everything Under Armour sold. So if he's getting paid off everything Under Armour sold, Steph Curry is earning over his holding company is earning more than what last year. I think it made like 178 million or something like that. Don't quote me on it, but it's around 78 million. 178 million in a year. So Steph is getting all this money, but the revenue isn't coming in. Quite sure they have a clause in the contract saying we could revisit this. Now, once again, look at that. This is where the stock was hot. The stock was hot. And now, as you see it now, this is Under Armour. So as you can see, all the way through the extended hours, that's where they measured up. So if you start getting yourself or making it seem like you're getting too close to the edge, you know, well, that's because there's so many different, what we say, takes, crazy takes, right? That was just a crazy take or position to have in said scenario. No, Stephen Curry knows better. Like, he knows business just like anybody else. But Right, TD Cohen last year estimated that as about Steph Curry brings in about 250 million in annual sales, which means it's way below that. It's probably like 170. Um, right. They wanted right. Global reach is where they're trying to go to, like the UK, France, Spain, and China. Those are the markets that they want to hit to make their biggest impact because the United States is not what they're really worried about. It's the global appeal. Well, the actual sale of the shoe itself. He said KD sells way more shoes than anyone, including LeBron and Steph. Why do you think they have a KD retro shoe come out every month? KDs are nice. Well, KD has a good selling shoe, but here's the thing that I believe that happened with Stephen Curry as well, that they didn't promote this shoe. I mean, but look at the shoe. The shoe design is very bland. It doesn't look like a shoe I would go out and buy, period. Do I want to go buy that shoe? So, as a human being or as a person, just not, let's say I don't know Stephen Curry from, if I go into the shoe store and I'm looking at shoes, I'm walking by those, no matter who was wearing them. Nothing about that shoe even lets me know it's Steph Curry's shoe. You know, it's nothing about looking at that shoe and I would know it's Steph Curry's shoe. So, like I said, two things are certain. Under Armour stock is at a very much low, so that you're looking at a 10-year projection of where they were at to where they are now. So Under Armour wanted to get out of this deal because they seen Steph is going to be making more money and we're going to be losing more money. That's not good for us to be paying him just for us to lose money. We're supposed to be gaining things with Steph Curry. So now the appeal hasn't been there since 2022. Since 2022, when they won that championship, that was that little spike I showed you. And then since then, it's just been dying off. It shot up a bit during the summer when the Olympics went off. So that helped Steph Curry's international appeal some more. And they had a little bump. And then since then, Under Armour, in my opinion, has been trying to sabotage this deal to get out of it. So when Steph Curry was saying his ideas was being pretty much ignored, it's the same thing that happened with Kobe Bryant. Hmm. Yes, pretty much. Their Under Armour market pretty much responds to what Steph Curry does. If the Warriors are productive, Under Armour sales go through the roof. If Steph Curry's having a monster year, the Warriors are taking off, and when the Splash Brothers was up, the numbers were through the roof. Under Armour stock was soaring, highest thing ever. That's why they made him a lifetime partnership, because it was the highest they've ever had. He was their Michael Jordan to Nike. He was going to bring them out of the dark. Now, once they start seeing that, they got Wemby, they got all these new players coming in. See this? 2015, 2016. All high. Drop all the way down. 2017, 2018. Shoots up. 2020, pandemic, boom, to the bottom. 2022, look, it's got a little peak. Steph and Curry, they all back. The Warriors are back on top. Boom, drops down. Got the little peak. 2024, the Olympics. You see that little bump? And then here it is, right where it is now. Who's talking about Steph Curry in 2025? They're always talking about Steph Curry in retirement. Even though his gameplay, he just put up like 46 points. He just had a monster game. But you're eager to retire this man? Why? What would be the point to getting rid of Stephen Curry? And so fast? Why is that so vital? Because they wanted to promote, that's right, LeBron James. That was their concern. So if your concern is promoting one individual, then that's exactly what it was going to be. They have no interest. When someone has zero interest in what it is that you're doing, or let's say any concerns, it becomes completely irrelevant. All of the things that you believe that it is because you see them popular on the court. Everything doesn't revolve around just the United States. This is worldwide appeal. Steph Curry had to get his worldwide appeal up. See, with Nike having a support system deal with LeBron, they can easily write off a bunch of things for LeBron. See, the average human being is not going to be able to do that. What Stephen Curry is able to do, the average human being is not going to be able to make those type of realizations. They're not going to be able to hit those benchmarks that's there, or thresholds, or whatever you want to title it. You're not going to be able to do that. It's going to take a drawing power by a professional athlete to do so. Steph Curry has a ton of businesses, right, that generates him money. So the fact that these people who made these crazy analogies, they didn't have the, what they say, good faith-based practices in place. They wanted out of this deal. They didn't want to spend any money doing anything for De'Aaron Fox or getting more athletes for Steph. Steph has a vision and he feels that it'll work, but he doesn't have the support. And when you don't have the support structure, then hell, you might as well do it on your own. So now he's looking for somebody else to partner with his brand. Who's going to trust in Stephen Curry? So it's either going to be Adidas or Nike. That's what it looks like. It could end up being anybody. I'm just saying those two are the main course on the menu. I didn't see the problems that other people were seeing when they were talking about committing to different subjects and different scenarios. hmm Well, when you want to know, I really didn't see it that way. I see it in a different light. You see, when you start talking about growth and you want to build a team up from the ground up, what did Stephen Curry do? Stephen Curry made an imperative decision. I'm with the Puma deal. Well, it depends on if Puma is really vested. It might be what's best for Steph because Steph wants more streetwear. He wants to develop more street clothing because he wants to go outside of just basketball. He wants it to be more of a people could wear it outside in everyday walk of life than just, let's just make stuff for the little kids. It's Steph Curry. He's like a little kid out there. So let's just make it for kids. And you're missing out on revenue that you could have gained, but you wanted to just focus on basically, 9-year-olds, 6-year-olds, 4-year-olds to age 18. You don't see too many people in their 20s rocking Steph Curry's. It was mostly younger kids. So what he's trying to do is expand and saying we got to get into this market, this 18 to 24 to 24 to 32. The older it goes up, the less anybody is wearing Steph Curry. So his jersey sales are still high, but people are not buying his shoes or his gear. Right. It doesn't take rocket science to figure this out. Everybody knows exactly what I'm saying is what they see. This is not something you can't see. You can see for yourself. Like you can see it with your eye. Who do you know where Steph Curry's, right? You see a little kid, he curried out. He got the shoes. He got so every teenager would rock Curry's, kids, and all of that. But here's the thing. Most parents ain't finna go crazy buying their kids Steph Curry. They'll do that for once in a blue moon. Then their kid's gonna get older. He's gonna grow out of it, right? But that's contingent on Steph Curry being successful on the basketball court because the kids is caught up with celebrity and superstar. Now to be the new guy comes in, and it's John Morant. He's incredible. Look at all these dunks. Now John Morant's the new guy. That's why his shoes now is outselling the Curry's. The Ja 2 and the Ja 3 all outsold the Curry's. Now, it's not about him being washed. His popularity has diminished because he doesn't get all the light anymore. The Warriors are not the it thing anymore. People now talking about Wemby more. There's been more press on Wemby this year than anybody. Luka and Luka's shoes is not sold pretty much at all from anybody I know. Nobody I know is rocking Luka's, but the international market, a lot of them are buying Luka Doncic shoes. This is why Jordan brand signed Luka. They signed Zion Williamson. Zion Williamson shoes, it's all right, but they're not really putting out as many Zion Williamson shoes as much as they're doing Luka's. Like Luka just had a whole new run with his shoe. Zion's first shoe did great. So it's not about they're done and like as a player and all that. No, this is not even about that. This is a whole different thing. This is about business. This is about international marketing from the France, UK, Spain, and China. Those are the markets for gym shoes and apparel. Yes. Well, I'm glad you understand it. I said it in a way that hopefully everybody could understand it. It's very clear. And that's why I keep trying to tell people that the more that we do this, the better it's going to become for everybody. Like we start right. Once we start connecting on a realistic level and we start to identify with what the problem is or the scenario of the problem and saying, hey, mm-hmm. That's because most people don't understand it. If I told you something you didn't understand what I was saying to you, right? Let's say I said something in a different language and you didn't understand it and said, hey, I don't understand this, right? It would be confusing. Someone would have to translate, right? So now it's like this. This is something that everybody can relate to. It's not really something you can't see. You could see that people are not wearing Steph Curry shoes. You could see the interest in Steph Curry is down compared to his years he was up. That's like saying LeBron James. LeBron James shoes have not sold well at all. These new shoes he's got out tanked. These little gold shoes he's got, his new LeBron shoes. He went on Kai Cenat's show to try to get him a promotion and give them the shoes. Nobody wants to wear that crap. And then you got Bronny out here sucking it up, wearing your shoes. You don't even want to wear your shoes. It's it's awful. Absolutely awful. No, it's just Steph Curry does not resonate with the inner city. See, when you don't relate to the inner city, it's difficult for you to sell a shoe. Steph Curry only related to the inner city once they were winning, but nobody remembers Steph on the playgrounds. Steph came up in a upper middle class suburbia, mostly white community. He didn't come up around brothers. He didn't come up in our circle. So Steph Curry is not connected with us in that level. So if he's not connected with us in that level or on our playing field, you know, this is why he's different. He's looked at differently. Now, people like Ja Morant, they're gonna take off because one, Ja's gonna be on social media, TikTok, and all of these other places because of the things he could do as a professional athlete. Now, from that, you have Zion. They come from the playgrounds. They identify here in the United States. They jump out of the gym. And once we care about them a lot, then the other people want to get in on the party. So that's why the shoes sell, because we are making up those other sales, as well as them jumping in saying, hey, that's what's hot. I got to get in there. John Moran is what's happening. So now we're saying we love Ja. They are loving Ja. Now you got to double the sales. Steph Curry doesn't sell in the black community like that. That's just what it is. His demographic is not us. We don't identify with him in a fashion sense. So now he's missing out on that market. What made MJ different? Because MJ came from a level of playground. His game is playground. He was Air Jordan. He was doing things nobody had ever seen before from a basketball perspective. Then this was before gym shoes was even done at this level. Nobody had the kind of deal he had. No one had a shoe designed for them. He was the first one that had a shoe that was designed for them. Normally, the company would make a shoe and say, hey, this is for you. They designed that shoe for Michael Jordan, a guy who hadn't played one game in the NBA. Uh, Kobe is not from Philly. No, he's really not. He grew up over in Italy, and he came to the United States. He couldn't even speak English, really. He learned English when he was in Philly, picking up Philly slang. And so that's how he had to learn. But when he was in high school, he had trouble early on because he didn't really speak or understand the language. Not really, but I see where people would like to go with it. I just wish Stephen Curry made shoes that were relatable. The majority of them look very cheap, and they look more like Skechers than anything. Well, this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to change his appeal. He wanted to fix this and say, hey, how do I fix this? Like, this is not what I want to do. I want to know, how do I fix it? That's all it's ever been. You want to make sure you're in the best situation to win. Yeah, well, that's the nature of it. That's the basic consensus of what they want you to see. Yeah, so that's what happened with Steph Curry's shoes. And yeah, he got creative ideas, and the company they don't want any parts of it. I'm not against it. I just understand it. They want out. So that lets you know what a lifetime contract is really not a lifetime contract. No, it's not imperative. Oh yeah, I told you I saw this whole thing start from the beginning. They they deliberately did it to get out of the lifetime deal because they're losing money. That's why I have the chart on my wall. When you look at this chart, and if you look at the stock market, you can see from when they started, 2013, this is the losses. This is the fans, public interest, revenue. And if you follow the chart, see the losses were low, the revenue was going through the roof. 2016, that was the Cavs in the finals, and everybody was Warriors crazy, right? Losses is at an all-time low, gains is at all-time high. Then, even by 2018, people got exhausted. They were tired of seeing LeBron and Steph Curry, and you oversaturated the market. You You drove people insane with everything that was going on. So now the losses are jumping up. And then the pandemic hit. That really messed them up. So the losses went above the actual public interest. And by 2020, it was all done. 2021, everything. Steph Curry shoe sales are going down. It had a little spike in 2022 when they won the championship. Then it had a little spike again when they actually went to the Olympics, and they thought they were turning a corner. But when they signed that lifetime contract, that's because Steph Curry is getting paid off every little thing that Under Armour sells. So if you're doing that, what you're actually going to be doing for yourself, which is actually different than anything else you could ever put together, is that he was making so much money off of the company, even when his shoe started to tank, anything that they were selling, he's getting paid off of. So now this deal isn't favorable no more. And the NBA didn't do him any favors by kind of put him out the pasture saying this is the end of a dynasty. You keep you're basically crushing this man's brand live on national television, kept telling the world this is the end of the dynasty. This is the end of a dynasty. This is the end of a dynasty. I'm like, look, they're in the playoffs and they're fighting for a world championship. They just lost in the second round of the playoffs. What do you mean it's the end of a dynasty? It was this is just the agenda base that they do to try to paint a narrative. So if they don't go next year, they're not getting anything. Oh, remember, the dynasty ended last year. They said it. So it's a spin cycle. But I've known for a while what's been happening here with the stock, because Under Armour stock was going to record lows. Yep. My chart looks just like the market chart, right? See, 2016, look at where it was at. And this is Under Armour. 2022, 2024, and look where it's at. This is where it's at today. Now, today, it's going to be a big spike in Under Armour because everybody's going to go out and buy the Steph Curry shoe before it's discontinued, or so whatever they got product that they made already, they're just going to sell that off. So people are going to buy them, all the sneakerheads, because it's the last of a shoe. Because that's what sneakerheads do, man. Sneakerheads don't realize that the sneakerhead business has been dead for the last 2-3 years. Since the pandemic, the sneaker deals heads have lost tons of money, including Nike and Adidas and all of them, because it's all pivoted. Gym shoes are not in fashion like they used to be. People don't wear gym shoes 24 hours a day anymore. They wear all different type of stuff now. It's all weird. They wearing like colorful boots. So that's why you're seeing brands like Nike and Adidas, they're going out using all different type of shoes. They're making all different type of clothing to relate to whatever's happening in the streetwear. And that's what Steph Curry wanted to do. He says, I don't want to be Stephen Curry for the little kids. I want to have the little kids, and I want the other market. So that's why he signed De'Aaron Fox and wanted to sign other NBA players to his brands, his Curry brand, because he's not going to be playing ball forever, and he's not from the streets. So he wanted to sign the guys that the streets related to and give them their own signature shoe, That's where he wants to take the Curry brand. So when he partners with somebody else, he wants them to know, hey, it's not about the Steph Curry shoe. It's going to be their shoe, distributed by my brand. So that's what he wants to do and go moving forward. That's the plan. Oh, she's speaking another language. I don't know what she doing. Stephen Curry, as far as they should do deodorant. Well, if the stock is in decline and you have a lifetime partnership with somebody, which means that they get paid off its core brand. So they're getting paid off your core brand. And Steph Curry is more into golf now. He's doing all these other things. And his brand is winding down as far as his basketball career. So he's looking to pivot more into streetwear and outside of just basketball material. He'll be making more Steph Curry golf equipment, Steph Curry's golf, this, because that's what he's going to pretty much do. Because Steph Curry is pretty much a pro golfer. He can play the sport very well. Like he could be on the PGA tour, but he wouldn't win it. But he'll be a competitive person in there. He's probably the best golfing NBA player that is out there besides Danny Ainge. But Danny Ainge used to play well. You know, everybody was better than Jordan, except for Charles Barkley, who just played for the fun. He was in it for the embarrassment of it all. Hmm. Well, they say the timing is odd because the season just started. Why would they announce this so early in the NBA season? Normally, when you see something like this, it'll be in the summer or at the end of a season, not at this point. So it was only 2023 when they signed that lifetime contract. So 2 years and what would have been a lifetime contract. How do you get out of that? It's restructuring. And that's going to include spinning off the Curry brand and now he's an independent, so he's free to go look at it, somebody else because Curry's not going to be able to pay all that overhead for infrastructure. They're not going to do it. So what they're going to do is say, all right, well, we're going to move on from that, and we're going to move on to a whole new thing, a new deal. And the Curry Series 7, it's going to be his final signature shoe or whatever, or the 13s or whatever. I don't know. They're going to bring up all his old viral shoes. They're going to be sold like crazy. Low tops, high tops. Yeah, it's going to be viral. So, right. If the bottom line doesn't make sense, they're going to find a way to get you out of there. It's a $14 billion mistake. Well, his market value in 2016 was about $14 billion. But at the 2016 season, Steph Curry 20 going into 2017, his market value was at probably 14 billion as far as net worth of all his products and everything together. Marketability, he was at there was no ceiling for Steph Curry in 2016. 2016, Steph had the entire NBA world. This is a $14 billion mistake. LeBron was never at that level. That's the thing that people don't understand. LeBron was at a level where he had the adults, he had the 18 to 24s, and he didn't have the 8-year-olds, the 7-year-olds, the 6-year-olds. He didn't have that market. He never had that market. He didn't have the suburban homes like that. They were all in on LeBron. No, he didn't have that. Steph Curry looked like a little kid compared to all the rest of them. So the little kids gravitated to Steph. They loved all the gestures, and he's just shooting these long threes, and they're going in from all over the place. So now, now there it is. So the people are saying, well, Under Armour fumbled their only good shoe, which was the Curry's. It's not about good shoe. It's about, is the shoe selling? Nobody asked if the shoe was good. Man, is the shoe good? The shoe could do a lot. The shoe can make bubbles pop up and change different colors. If nobody's buying the shoe, there we go. Like I wanted to get those Drake shoes, those Noctas, those orange. Those go perfect with our Bear stuff. Yeah, being moved from one part to another part and all that stuff. Yeah, it has its it has its moments. I never looked at it as I never looked at it like that because once you start doing that, you've already put yourself in a losing position. I mean, who we have? Azzy Fudd and De'Aaron Fox. Well, I think he gets to wear it to the end of 2026. And then when the contract is over, then he can go ahead and start, you know, switching shoes and, wearing different ones. So whenever the actual date is on the contract and where they say, okay, the terms end here, that means all the shoes that they got and everything else, they're going to just sell off all the merchandise. Curry still get a percentage. And after that, there'll be no more reproductions. It's done. But how do you get out of a lifetime contract if it's a lifetime contract? Easy. Same thing I talked about with Gilbert Arenas. It's called benchmarks. The same reason why Gilbert Arenas' show is down from 4 episodes to 2 episodes is that the company, Underdog, is not getting from that show that they feel that they're supposed to get or that they want to get from the show. It's actual signups. They don't care about the viewership or is it getting the number 1 ratings. It's like, look, the point of this is for people to sign up to Underdog Fantasy. So if we're not getting that from the show, why are we spending all this damn money? So, and you're just not going to get that from bots. So they feel like they got a better chance getting it from the football show than basketball show. So they want to focus on Skip Bayless's show. And that's on 4 days a week rather than dealing with Gilbert Arenas' show for 2 days. So That's why it's in the position that it's in right now. Oh, you ready for here? Okay. All right, hold on. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here and let her finish this. We'll talk later. She needs to clean the house. And all right, I'm out. Shouts out to Kwame Brown, Buzz Light.